What's up? It's Ben from WODprep, and this video is going to help you get your best score possible on CrossFit Open Workout 23.3. Wow, they are ending the CrossFit Open season with a bang. This workout involves a lot of strategy, a lot of skill, and a lot of different techniques. So if you stick around and watch all the way through this video, you will definitely get a better score because there are some little intricacies that make a huge difference when it comes to getting a great score and getting a great workout. Now, if you want the complete strategy guide to go along with this video, where we've actually typed out some additional strategies, I send out a special exclusive insider-only mindset video and a few other great things. If you want that, then make sure you go to wodprep.com/open. Make sure you're on the email list so that as soon as all of our open content is done, you get a special email breaking down everything that we have to get you your best score possible on this workout. First things first, make sure that you go to games.crossfit.com. This is the workout, but there's a lot of intricacies involved to make sure that you're doing the right standards with the right reps and the right weights and the right everything. So make sure you go check out what the standards are for your specific division. And also note that the layout that I have in this video is kind of confined with space. So don't necessarily use my layout with my barbell and my jump rope compared to the wall as the standard. Make sure you go check the standards online. And with that, let's talk about how to get your best score possible. The overall strategy of this workout, before we get into the individual skills, is that this workout is going to be short and sweet and high skill for a lot of people. You might not even get your heart rate up that much because you're going to hit a wall. That wall for you might come literally on the wall with the wall walks. It might come with the handstand push-ups. It might come in the snatches. I think a lot of people are going to run into a wall in the snatches. This workout is easy to redo because it's so short and won't really tax you that much. So you can always try one strategy, see how it goes. And if your gym is open for it, you can always redo this. And it's not going to be super detrimental. You're not going to be burning yourself out very much by redoing this workout. You could really get a better score by testing out different strategies that I mentioned in this video. Another thing to note is that for most Rx athletes, for a lot of people, it's going to be 6 minutes, or it might be a little bit longer. But if you are looking for a great workout, if you just want to get a good sweat, then do the scaled version. That's totally fine. But if you want to get your highest placement on the leaderboard, just one rep in the Rx division will technically outplace all scaled division reps. So keep that in mind when you're logging your score if you're trying to get the highest on the leaderboard possible. Let's start talking about the skills. Skill number one is the wall walk. I think one of the most important aspects of the wall walk is to not get no rep. If you get no rep, you're going to be doing so much work for absolutely nothing. So make sure that your feet are off the ground on the wall before you move your hands off that tape. If you fail to do that, you're going to do a lot of extra work and it's going to be miserable. So there's two different methods that I like to suggest when it comes to actually doing the wall walk. So let me hop down to the ground here. The way that I will personally be doing the wall walks is called the hop up method. So with my hands on the tape, I'm literally springing off my knees and popping myself up the wall. I think that's one of the easiest ways to start. Yes, it's fatiguing, but we're really not doing that many wall walks in this workout. So it could keep your time under tension short and it can get you through the wall walks quickly. So again, the pop-up method looks like this, where I'm literally springing off my legs up onto the wall and then I walk. If popping up is too hard for you, then I would suggest just doing a nice simple downward dog. So our goal is to get our arms extended and then our butt high in the air. And then again, we start stepping up the wall. And then as soon as we step up the wall, that's when we can start walking our hands, okay? So the easier version is the downward dog. The harder but quicker version, the version that I will probably choose, is that pop-up method because it's so quick and it gets you started on the rep a lot faster and gets you up the wall. Regardless of which version of the wall walk start you do, it's very important to make sure that you touch and go at the wall line. And here's what I mean by that. Okay, let's say I hop up, I walk up. What I don't want people to do is to get both hands on the tape and pause in any way, shape, or form, and then have to walk slowly back down. The goal is to get my hands to the tape, I literally touch, and I'm right back walking down. So again, while we're under tension, while we're climbing that wall, we get our first hand on the tape. The second hand should simply touch and then right off the tape. And then the next thing to think about is, remember, before your feet come crashing off the wall and onto the ground, we have to make sure that we get our hands back to that front tape line. So what I'm thinking about as I'm walking myself down is I want to get my hands to that line as quick as possible Once they're on that line, it's okay to splat down. It might not feel comfortable, but it is gonna help reduce time under tension, and especially if you have some sort of crash pad available to use for your wall walks and handstand push-ups, it might actually be pretty comfortable. So here's what I mean by that. With the wall walk again, I'm getting myself up the wall. I touch and go, I'm back down, and then as soon as my hands are here, boom, I'm dropping. And it looks pretty aggressive, but it will save you some time. It actually will save you some energy because the more you control yourself down to the bottom, the more fatigued you're gonna get. If you are lucky enough to have a full length crash pad of some sort, this is like a gymnastics mat, just some sort of softer matting, it's really gonna help you with the wall walks, and especially if you get to the strict handstand push-ups, which we'll talk about later in the video. I get up the wall, and I can splat down and it doesn't hurt at all. So it doesn't make a huge difference with the wall walks, but I'm just demonstrating you can use the crash pad with the wall walks. And then for the strict handstand push-ups, something like this will make a huge difference because it allows us to touch and go a lot more easily. But again, we'll get into that in a second. When it comes to the scaled division, for a lot of people who are going to do the scaled division, the same exact things apply for this wall walk, except our hands are in front of the line. Hands are in front of the line. What I want you to do is get up the wall. You can hop up. I think that's pretty easy. Or you can do the downward dog and step up. But what we want is to touch and go. What I don't want you to do is to come over here and then switch hands on the way back. That's a lot slower and it causes a lot more fatigue. So I literally just touch and go back down, and then you can come back down to the ground. So very important, whether we're crossing the line for the scaled or touching the line for the Rx division, we just touch and go. And remember, if you want more help with your wall walks, I will be sending out more content as long as you're signed up for the strategy guides at WODprep.com/open. Now, let's dig into the double unders. When it comes to the double unders, you either have them or you don't. If you don't have them, yes, I will send out some strategies and complete videos about how to get your first, but that's not what I'm gonna do in this video. If you haven't gotten your first, make sure you go watch my other content. But if you can do double unders, these next few tips are really gonna help you not get too burnt out and hopefully get through them all. The number one thing that I see a lot of people doing is they start way too fast. They immediately try to jump into double unders and then they trip. What I want you to do is start slow and controlled and then settle into those 50 reps. 50 reps for a lot of us isn't very much, and that's because double unders aren't that fatiguing to 50 reps. What I want you to do is when you pick up that rope, I want you to start with a couple single unders, get your rhythm, and then go into your double unders. Even if you can't do unbroken double unders, that's fine. I want you to get your rhythm and then do single, single, double, or maybe 5 singles and a double, or single, double, single, double. It doesn't really matter. The goal here is just to keep that rope spinning because we're racing against the clock to get these done. And if you don't have unbroken double unders, we need to make sure we keep that rope spinning. So again, when I pick up my rope, I want to make sure my rope is in a good spot to pick up. I like this U formation here. I grab the handles, pull the rope against the back of my calf, and now I'm ready to jump. Hit a couple singles, and if you can't do unbroken double unders, then doing this is perfectly fine. Do a couple singles and a double. If you can do that and keep the rope spinning, you will accumulate those 50 reps nice and fast. What we don't want to do is to see a double under freak out. We don't want you tripping and whipping yourself all the time because you're just going to implode. We want to keep that rope spinning, whatever that means for you, to keep it spinning and keep accumulating reps. Next, once you're done that first set, don't just throw the rope on the ground and get it all crisscrossed and crazy and tangled, because then when you come back to it, it's going to be hard to untangle and get into the next set. So when you're done your set of double unders, what I want you to do, let's say you finish, I want you to set it down so that when you come back to it, you can get right back in to a good set without any tangling or twisties. It's going to help save a lot of time. And again, we need all the time we can get to make sure that we get our reps done before the time cutoff. And my last and final tip with double unders is let your judge count. If you're sitting there focusing on counting the whole time, I've noticed it causes a lot of people to hyperventilate or hold their breath. They focus on counting and they're holding their breath. So I want you to focus on breathing and just staying calm and let your judge count. If they can count out loud, even better, or count every 10, just make sure your judge knows how to count. We saw in the announcement video, a couple of the judges could not count double unders properly, and some of the athletes were doing a lot extra. So make sure your judge knows how to count and can count your jumps for the double unders. And one more thing about double unders. Don't forget to tie your shoes. Double knot, don't be an idiot. Tie your shoes. And with that, let's move on to the snatch. Thing number one, have a weight changer. It is allowed for you to have a weight changer or have multiple barbells with all the weights. If you are changing your own weights, you're screwed in this workout. You need to have a weight changer. Number two, in order to get through that first 6 minutes, we do need to move quickly on the barbell. So that means if you can touch and go that first set, your lowest weight, then I highly recommend doing a touch and go, but make sure you're not muscle snatching because we need to save our shoulders. We need to save that lockout power for obviously this time on the wall. So make sure that when you're doing your snatches, you're bending underneath of it and then standing and then trying to go touch and go and rebending each time, and that uses your legs more than your arms. If the weight is too heavy for you, or once you get into that second weight level, then I highly recommend doing singles. So singles with 1 or 2 quick breaths in between each rep. Again, we're racing against that clock. We have to make sure we're moving. So we have to be sure to get the reps done quickly, but I would not recommend doing touch and go unless you are a super ridiculously high level games athlete. You're probably not watching this video, to be honest. If this weight is too heavy for you to cycle that quickly, or if you're getting to the barbell and you can hardly do any, one really important thing to note is that the tiebreaker is when you finish the snatches. So let's say the second barbell weight is really heavy for you, you can hardly do it. Your goal is to get through the first set of snatches as fast as possible, get to that second barbell weight, and then do your best to take some deep breaths, recover, and get 1 or 2 reps. The snatches will be a huge separator on the leaderboard, so will the strict handstand push-ups. If you can get 1 or 2 reps at your wall, like at your limiter, if you can get 1 or 2 reps, that's gonna separate you from tens of thousands of places. Last thing to note about the snatches is as the weight gets heavier, remember, it's not a power snatch, it's just a snatch. You can drop underneath that bar. So let's say I'm getting to this bar and it's really heavy for me. It would be dumb of me to try to muscle it up there with my shoulders. I'm using a lot more of my arms. Instead, what I want to do is as the weight gets heavy, allow yourself to drop underneath of it, because then you're using your legs more than your shoulders and your arms. It's time to talk about the handstand push-ups. Again, for a lot of people, this is that limiter. If you don't have strict handstand push-ups and you're in the Rx division, then your goal is to try to get here and accumulate 1 or 2 reps, because that's gonna be a huge separator on the leaderboard. Now, for people who can do them, that's what I'm gonna talk about here the rest of the video, and I will talk about the scaled version, which is hand release push-ups, in a second. So one of the most important aspects of the handstand push-ups, I think, is to make sure you utilize the entire width. And what I mean by that is the tape is 30 inches wide, and I'm trying, when I get set up, I'm trying to get my thumbs right on the edge of that tape. As long as my thumbs are touching the tape, the wider my hands will go, and my range of motion is a lot shorter, okay? If I just kick up willy-nilly and my hands are in tight, having your hands closer will require a longer range of motion, and I think it's way harder. So think about how can you get your hands as wide as possible and still meet the standards. For me, it's getting those thumbs right on the corner of that tape, and make sure that you put your thumbs there prior to kicking up. What you don't want to do is go to kick up and have one thumb off of the tape, and then you're gonna have to come back down and reset, or you might get no rep. Instead, place your hands, so I place my hands right on the corner, and then I kick up. And that's gonna ensure that my hands are in the right position to do the handstand push-ups with the smallest range of motion possible. Another tip on the strict handstand push-ups, and again, we will be sending out more videos as long as you're signed up for the strategy guide email list, WODprep.com/open. But one key to strict handstand push-ups is if I'm having trouble locking out, I want to see you drive your head through the window. I want you to push your head through your arms as you're locking out the rep. I see a lot of people struggle with the lockout because they don't drive their head through that window. I promise it's going to help you with that lockout power. And then another thing to think about is when you're doing these strict handstand push-ups, use descending sets. And what I mean by that is something along the lines of 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. You never want to reach failure on your handstand push-ups unless it's like the end of the workout, then obviously red line. But if you're trying to get through all of the strict handstand push-ups and move on to the next round, we have to make sure we don't hit the wall where we can't do any more. Our goal is to do a set of 6, drop down, shake it out. Set of 5, drop down, shake it out. Set of 4, so on and so forth until we get to 20. What we don't want to do is see a big set of like 13 to start, and then you can hardly get 1 or 2 done. I see people do this with strict handstand push-ups all the time. So make sure you're leaving 2 or 3 reps in the tank with every single set. As mentioned previously, if you have a full length mat that will work for the wall walks, it's important to also use that, I think, for the handstand push-ups. And the reason being is because that's gonna allow us to touch and go. With the strict handstand push-ups, a huge mistake a lot of people make is they get to the bottom of the rep and they relax. And what that does is that causes you to lose tension, and it's very hard to get out of the bottom, and a lot of times you'll get no rep. So when you're doing these strict handstand push-ups, it's very important to touch and go your head on the ground. Or even better, if you can get a nice squishy mat to use, that allows you to kind of rebound, as crazy as it sounds, out of the bottom of your handstand push-ups. So let me show you an example. Okay, when you're doing handstand push-ups, can kind of bounce out of the bottom and it doesn't hurt at all. If I tried to do that on the hard concrete or the hard mats, it would really hurt. So that bounce out of the bottom, that touch and go, really does help you accumulate the reps and become less fatigued. Now let's mention the hand release push-ups of the scale division. I check with my team and I check the rule book, and I think I have a hack for you. Personally, it makes me want to vomit, but it will help you accumulate reps better. So follow me down to the ground. When you're doing your hand release push-ups, the standard is you come to the ground, your hands come off the ground, and then you lock up without any snaking, worming, or sagging, okay? But one thing the rules don't mention, again, so you're gonna have to double check this and they might ban this, but you could do a hand and foot release. So look at my feet, how they come off the ground. If you do that, as long as your knees aren't hitting the ground, it allows you to kind of snap out of the push-up. And personally, I think it is a much easier way to do hand release push-ups because it kind of gets your quads involved. My knees still aren't touching the ground, so it doesn't violate that rule. And it kind of allows you to sort of snap into a hollow body position as you do your push-up. Again, it is easier. It makes me want to vomit even mentioning it. But according to the rules so far that I've seen, that is legal, and it will help you probably do your push-ups a lot more easily. So tread at your own risk, read the rule book for yourself, but I guess we'll call them kipping hand release push-ups. I don't really know. Again, I don't like it, but it will help you do hand release push-ups better. Or you can do them the old-fashioned way, just like I mentioned, keep your toes on the ground and do them that way. But if you get your feet off the ground a little bit, it will allow you to snap up into those push-ups a little bit easier. So with that wraps up my 23.3 strategy video, but it does not wrap up my full strategy guide. If you want to learn how to do double unders, which can be learned last minute, if you want to learn more details about how to do wall walks more effectively, if you want to learn about all of the movements in this workout, then I have a complete strategy guide I'm emailing to everyone very soon. I'll email it to you throughout the entire weekend. The key is you got to go to WODprep.com/open, enter your name and email, and I'll send you all the goods, including an insider mental strategy video that's going to help you prepare for this workout. I'll send you all those goods completely free. Thumbs up if you liked the video, thumbs down if you didn't. I would love to hear in the comments below. Let me know, what did you learn from this video? Have you tried this workout yet? It's very redoable. So maybe you try it, you come back to us, report how it went in the comments, and then let us know what you're gonna do to get a better score the next attempt. Either way, leave a comment below and let me know what's one thing from this video, or maybe one thing that you've learned from WODprep throughout this entire Open. It's been an amazing time having you for this Open season. We work our butt off here at WODprep headquarters to try to get you this content as quickly and effectively and beautifully as possible. Thank you so much for watching, and every single like, share, comment, love, words of encouragement, words of affirmation is my love language. Thank you so much for everyone for being here throughout the Open, and I will see you probably in next week's video. Peace. Oh, that hurt so bad.
That one was real.
Oh, that was so real.